Ta-da! Welcome to another episode of Rome Overlanding, and we are all the way in the Western Cape at Terrain Tamer Africa HQ, and we are getting to work on this little sausage today. We've got a bunch of things to do. This vehicle is heading out for its first overlanding trip soon. I'm going to run you guys through sort of like a priority list of things that I would look at doing before going on a big overlanding trip, things that I'd look at potentially upgrading, and yeah, just a few basics. We're going to start off with just a simple service on the car. I always think the vehicle should be serviced before you go on an overlanding trip, because a good opportunity for you to check all your little bits and bobs underneath the engine bay, make sure your oil levels are fine, your battery terminals are connected, and you can look for a few little other things as you go. And then there's a few little upgrades that I'm going to term sort of overlanding upgrades that you can get at Terrain Tamer, which for various vehicles and various individuals would be really sensible, nice upgrades to make before all the shiny, look nice things. So let's get cracking on our episode, and I'll walk you through my thoughts on all these little bits and bobs. First things first, a service comprises of checking a few things. A is your air filter. B is your diesel filter. And C is your oil filter. And all of these things can be checked, and you can then also add additional oil. While you're doing that, it is really good to check the radiator, power steering, and transmission fluid. There's your oil dipstick, transmission fluid dipstick. Not all vehicles have access to all of those points so easily. That is where the 100 series is quite nice when it comes to sort of overlanding stuff and maintaining your own vehicle. You're going to check your battery terminals. These are new ones that I've put on. And this vehicle's got 2 batteries, so you need to check that on both. And basically, that is your general, quick service overview on this vehicle. What I like to do is eliminate a lot of the nonsense of having to find out everything that needs to be done. I basically just use a Terrain Tamer service kit, and inside here is everything that a man needs to service his Landcruiser. So we've got our oil filter. It is quite a large beast of a thing, but that we can do last. We also got to wait for the engine and stuff to cool down, because otherwise it's quite hot to get off. You've got your diesel filter. Now let's discuss diesel filter for a second, because the 100 series is quite an interesting vehicle. A lot of the 100 series in South Africa, I think from 2002, came standard with twin diesel filters. Okay, so literally here you would have 2 diesel filters. Mine is an import, so it's a Japanese spec vehicle. It only came with a single diesel filter. So I'm going to install a second diesel filter. There is a reason Toyota put a second diesel filter on these vehicles. These really were quite incredible vehicles in what they accomplished in this generation between the 105 and the 100 series in Africa. So, and obviously quality of diesel at the time wasn't great, and to be fair, it's still not that great. You can get bad diesel or dirty diesel or watery diesel anywhere. So once you're done with the service, the thing that I'm putting on this vehicle is a secondary diesel filter. It is a 30 micron filter. I think this is a 10 micron or 5 micron, something like that. This does also have a little water trap on the bottom and a sensor for water, but it's putting a lot of strain on a single filter, and this car runs through a lot of diesel. So having the 2 filters, you're splitting the work. You've got the 30 micron capturing any large debris coming from the tank and separating out any water. Then it goes into the 5/10 micron filter, and it then filters out fine particles, keeps the diesel clean, and any additional water that for some reason got through can then get trapped a second time. So even if you get water in your diesel tank for whatever reason, you're still going to be protected. And I think that is a very important thing because, you know, it's rainy season and stuff at the moment along the Cape, and people there is an allotted amount of water that can be found in a diesel tank at a filling station. There is an allotted amount of dirt. So these are things that are in there. You don't know that they've just filled up the whole petrol station before you've arrived, and it's mixed all the water and dirt and stuff. I have found this filter full of crap, and actually the car wasn't starting. I removed the filter, cleaned out all the nonsense, put it all back together, and the car fired up perfectly. So this can be something simple, but that can cause a lot of drama. So having the fail-safe of 2 filters, I think, is a necessity for Africa, especially. That's something we're going to be doing. Another thing we're going to be doing once we're done here is we're going to be installing a catch can. The catch can is going to catch all the crankcase fumes and gases and filter them out. Now, this vehicle has had an EGR delete. That does not mean you don't need to put a catch can. A catch can still functions to catch that oil. What's happening with the crankcase gases is it's going back into the airline, and it's going through your turbo, and it's going into your intercooler. So the reality is, at 400,000 kilometers, obviously, whatever that has been doing this whole time, it's been doing, okay? Not as bad as on modern vehicles, but it is still something that I would like this vehicle to go another 450,000 kilometers. So that is something that I want to add to the setup just to help improve the reliability a little bit. Once we've done that, we're also going to be installing a snorkel. And the snorkel is the Safari Armax Snorkel. It's one of the only ones that they have for this vehicle at the moment. So although it's a performance snorkel, we're not really going to be doing performance modifications on this vehicle. But I know I've got one on the Hilux. It functions excellently, and it's been a really nice addition to the vehicle. So I'm excited to put that on here. It will invariably have a difference on the performance, which is definitely not a problem, considering I have also done an exhaust pipe, which I'll chat to you about now. So this box will have to come out. It will be modified for the Armax. There's quite a few modifications that happen to the airbox itself to actually fit the Armax. But the consequence of that is that this airbox is going to be completely sealed from water. And the Armax snorkels and the Safari snorkels in general have like a 99.9% water rejection. So they are incredibly good at keeping water out of the airstream that goes into your airbox. So we're going to be going through that process quite detailed and showing you everything that's going on there. We've got a lot of projects to do. I think it's going to be really fun. So I'm looking forward to getting a bit more mechanical with the 100 again. We've done a lot of nice fancy interior stuff in the previous video, but I am really enjoying learning about how to work on the engine, how to work on the more mechanical components on the vehicle. So let's get going. So now what's nice with this secondary filter, the bracket that comes with it, you basically are going to place on there like this, like this, and then the secondary filter will mount on that. So they'll sit the two next to each other. When you service the one, you service the other. That's going to be really neat. It's going to take up some useless space, and everything will be nice and accessible at the same time. Nice and fresh inside.
You see how it's gonna look now.
Yeah. Now when you are doing changing your diesel filter, you got to make sure all of the surfaces are clean, that all the threads are clean, that the gaskets and stuff are clean. This kit comes with 2 new gaskets, one for this and then one for against here. And there are instructions on the filter and in the service manual of the vehicle of how tight to make it. It's not necessarily a matter of making it as tight as possible. It needs to be tight, but you need to also be able to remove this in the field. And I think that is an important factor. So let's have a look here. Andrew's got that. So there's our brand new clean filter. And well, that sort of speaks for itself. You can barely see anything inside there. So it's done some work. Actually, how nice, tells you on the box what to do. clean filter mount, apply engine oil to gasket. Diesel's also a lubricant, so that should also work. Hand tighten until the gasket contacts, and then further 2/3. So a lot of people go absolutely bonkers with it and then just make it as tight as possible. But a 2/3 rotation is more than enough. The older Toyotas use a round airbox, which is actually a brilliant design because the pressure is evenly distributed all around the seal. Okay, a square airbox has got pressure points and generally tends to be weakest in the corners, which is exactly where the air pulls in on the square airbox on the Hilux. Now, if you look around here, I have not driven in convoy. I haven't driven a lot of gravel roads. I've literally done 2 gravel roads. Okay, that is quite a lot of dust built up around the sides, and you see how fine this dust is. It is basically baby powder. Okay, now you can enhance the seal on these by putting some red rubber grease or Vaseline or something around there, and it's going to help trap any of that very fine dust from coming through. Now, I intentionally didn't do it because it traps a hell of a lot of dust, and you can actually see how well it works. But I wanted to show you that without it, the seal still works very well on these round filters. Okay, it's a little bonus extra to add the red rubber grease. Now, why is that amount of dirt building up if I'm not driving in convoy and I'm not driving on a lot of dusty roads? Okay, that is because look where this air intake goes. It goes into the fender and it terminates under here. So it's just pulling air from the wheel well, which you can imagine if you drive on even the slightest dusty road, you are throwing up a lot of dust into your intake. The solution with that is obviously to, use an air filter. That's great. That works really well. And these are really thick. They can absorb a lot of dust. But that's for an occasional gravel road. If we go and we now start doing overlanding and we're doing 1,000 kilometers on a gravel road, driving in convoy, all of that stuff, you start to pull in a lot more dust. And one of the ways we sort of counteract that is to put on a snorkel. Contrary to popular belief, a snorkel is not for blubbing through water. It is a clean, raised air intake. So it's for cool, clean air, and that is the main reason you put a snorkel on. The backup reasons is the fact that you can also seal up your intake from moisture. And that is a really nice addition, and it gives you peace of mind when going into the Okavango Delta or the Baviaanskloof or something like that where you've got high water levels. But it's not the sole reason, and actually there's only a few snorkels on the market, like the Safari snorkels, that you can actually seal up from water. A lot of them have got many holes in them and are not actually designed to seal up properly. It requires a lot of silicone, and that is not always the solution. So you'll see when we unbox the snorkel just the quality of the components that go into a Safari snorkel and why I trust that with my vehicle. So we've got some stuff to do here, I just wanted to show you this. It just makes a lot of sense when you can really see it. Now on the Hilux, you don't get to see this because of the design of the filter. So the thing that I can show you on my Hilux is all the dust getting past the filter. So this is a very interesting little experiment, and I think this is the secret as to why these vehicles can last so long, and the engines last long, the turbos last long. I think it actually all comes down to just how efficient their air filters are. So if you have a vehicle with a round, old drum style air filter, I think you're actually winning this game. So it'll be interesting to see now as we sort of go through. I've been tracking the dust buildup. A lot of this is just dust in the air. And in South Africa, we have a lot of dust in the air. So it is one of those things to be able to actually take care of your vehicle properly. It's the basics, man. It really is the basics. You know, there is actually an instruction in the service manual that you can blow these out if you're on a trip. Obviously, these have got a hell of a lot more surface area than, say, a small rectangular insert air filter like you're finding in the more modern vehicles. So this can handle a lot more dust. You can blow it out a bit easier. You're still going to need a lot of compressed air to do that properly. You're not going to tap this out as easily as, say, a square filter. You can, I think, get a little bit more life out of these, which is nice because they do take up a lot of space. So whereas on the Hilux, I can carry 2 or 3 spare filters for the same space as one of these. So it definitely needs to last a bit longer.
So I'm going to also clean this, put a little bit of rubber grease on that.
So it turns out there was only really one bolt holding this airbox in. The only one was that guy there. That one was finger loose, and then this one just the bracket has left the chat. So that is the intake from the fender. Nice. When we go and install the Armax, this whole thing comes out. And we'll end up basically removing this whole section of the box here to make this quite a lot bigger. This seems to have a nice 26-year-old build-up of dust in it too. But I guess all the ribs did their job and caught the dust, but even the round airboxes are not immune. 460,000 kilometers, I guess that's what'll happen. Intake manifold is a little bit different. Some of them have got 2 studs on. As you can see, there's 2 slots for bolts there. So mine doesn't have that, but someone's will. So we'll go without it. We'll just make sure that this bolt and washer are nice and secure. So we are currently busy doing the catch can. Now the catch can runs from behind there, basically there, from the valve cover. It runs down into here where it actually gets put into the turbo. So, and you can see here, that's quite a lot of oil and stuff going into the turbo. So will a catch can do anything? Yes, it will. Do we stop all the oil from going into the turbo? No. We just reduce the quantity and we filter out any sort of particles or anything like that from going into the turbo. So the only thing that gets through is the finest little oil mist, which can trap dust and do all sorts of things like that, which is not a bad function. But too much, and if anything too exciting gets through there, it's going to instead get caught in the catch can, which you can tap off, drain, and that's a good little addition to have for the longevity of your vehicle. shiny and new. We are back for a second day. Yesterday we ran out of sunlight. The days are incredibly short in the Western Cape at the moment in winter, so we lost the ability to film the rest of yesterday, but it's okay. We didn't do too much. We basically just put oil in the vehicle and I put back in the airbox and all of that stuff. But today I'm going to be taking it all out again, because today we are going to be installing the snorkel. So I'm going to show you through that just now. I'll open up the box and we'll take it all out and have a look at that. And then I'll need to remove the airbox because we're going to make some modifications to this. And I'm also going to be removing a few extra things here because we're going to install the EGT probe. And that needs to go in the exhaust manifold. So while we're working in this general area, we'll try and do as much as we can. I do really love how the catch can and the secondary diesel filter turned out. I think, you know, with these kits that come from Terrain Tamer, they come with these pre-molded pipes and stuff. So everything sort of runs and fits pretty damn perfectly. The locations for everything are also really nice for serviceability. And yeah, I think that is a really nice addition to the whole vehicle. And I think that gives a lot of peace of mind. Safari 4x4 Engineering now presents the Armax Snorkel, the snorkel for real men. Oh, that is, I had a little heart attack. Oh, but wait, there's more. That thing is huge. Oh my lord, that is ridiculous. Oh no, there's more? My gosh. There are few things in the world as fun as an Armax snorkel. Nothing quite says compensation like a massive snorkel. This is the snorkel head and this is Andrew's head. Now he's got quite a large head and the snorkel head is bigger. Okay, that seems like a normal thing. Look, everything on this car has seen better days, so this is why we're giving it new love. There we go. The old air duct. So that's all there was, just pulling in the... Nice. Beautiful. Yep. That was all going in the airbox. Great. So we've got our little stencil taped on there. We're going to need to drill out all these holes. Drill holes there, there, and cut a massive hole in the side of the car. So yeah, thumbs up. That is a huge hole. Okay, some major modifications going here. Only a few small battle scars to tell the tale. That's all going along real well. Riveting on that last box, the last few rivets, and then this airbox is basically done. Look at that. What a treat. That looks great. Always a good fit. It said 180 minutes to do the snorkel install. Nope. I have plastic all over my face, in my hair. I'm covered in plastic from cutting up that airbox. There's still a lot of work going on Yeah? Don't slip, Nicky.
Now, it's always fun to drill by holding other people's fingers.
Yep. Oh, okay. Just okay. It's enough. Make the circle bigger. Are you sure it's straight? Hey! Well, that wasn't that bad. 2 more to go.
Not now, later.
Okay, so we're on to the next stage now, which is I've stripped all this to expose the exhaust manifold, and we need to now drill a hole somewhere here in the center to run the EGT probe. So that is, we've had to buy a special drill bit and a special thread tapper to make that all work nicely. That shouldn't take too long to do. Famous last words. And then what I'll do is at another point I will run all the cables and everything for the gauge itself, but that should be fine for now. Just installing the probe. This is our don't get stuff in the turbo solution. Very sophisticated, very sophisticated. So here is the EGT and boost gauge. So this is what we are going to install right now. So that little guy there is what we are drilling a thread into the exhaust manifold to install this pyrometer. Then the pyrometer can be installed, wired up into, well, I haven't read that far in the instructions yet, but it goes in somewhere with this, and then this hooks up to the gauge itself, which is, drum roll please, hiding somewhere. So I'll show you that now. No pressure, Nicholas. Probe reaches nicely. The bung works, everything's going good. So that is directly in the middle of the stream of air, so we're not going to get biased off of one particular cylinder. It's going to pull temperature from hopefully the average of all the airflow into the exhaust. Is the probe going to work? Find out on the next episode of Rome Overlanding. Is it going to work, Nicholas?
Yep.
Spoiler alert, it's working. Ooh, okay. Can you feel the end?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it out a bit.
Oh.
Angle?
I think level like a sports car. Yeah, like that. So we made a bit of a big hole. What do you think, Nicholas?
No comment.
That's a rather large hole.
So I can see.
It's for easy maintenance. Hey?
Like that.
Yeah, that looks factory fit.
Except for the
Nice.
hole.
Okay, probe's installed. Now we can finish up the snorkel. Airbox going in, hook the snorkel up, bolt everything in, and we're good to go. Tighten it up. That looks good. We just need the rest of the car to match the snorkel. Look what I found recently. Just got extra flakes. Up. Okay, never mind. Go back in. Up. Nothing happened here. Seeker flakes. Hey. Oh, baby. Okay. That is huge. Why do I feel like we need to tune this car to 900 newtons now? Good morning. Day, I'm not so sure. I think 3. And I need to get this little guy installed. And I've got some spotlights I want to put on. We've got a bunch more little projects to get finished. We are leaving soon. we have got to get some stuff done on Nikki's vehicle, on the 80. So we've got a bunch of fiddly wiring and stuff to do. And something I also noticed the other day is that when the car was idling and we had the bonnet open, I realized that one of the fan belts are flapping around quite a bit at idle, and I think maybe a little bit more than what they should be. So we're going to do new fan belts today, which is something we've actually been meaning to do. So I think that will be good. And we've also just been checking on all the work that we do every day. Bring it in the morning, make sure there's no leaks, make sure there's nothing weird going on, because we're about to go on a 1-week overlanding trip, and we don't really want to be problem solving when we're on the trip. So just making sure that there's enough time between when you leave on your trip and when you do all the work that you can sort of figure out a couple of niggles and gremlins and stuff like that, and any mistakes you may have made along the way, because this is stressful stuff, time-consuming stuff, and you do always reach a point in the day where you sort of want to get the whole thing over and done with. That's when little shortcuts happen. But we haven't needed to take any shortcuts, but we've taken 3 days, so it's definitely a lot of work. Snorkel is doing great. It's not too loud, which is really nice. It also doesn't make a lot of wind noise, which is great. The car's driving beautifully, so it just gets up to like cruising speed really easily, and it just cruises at 120. It feels like with less effort, and the turbo feels a bit more responsive now with the intake and the exhaust done. So let me just, while we're on the topic of exhaust, let me rewind the clock a little bit to when I was up in Johannesburg and I went to go and visit Viper. So I'm sure you can hear all of the machines. Today, I am actually very excited to be where I am. I'm actually visiting Viper Exhausts in Edenvale up in Johannesburg at the moment, and they have had some significant facility upgrades since I came and visited them last at the Hilux. Now, this is very, very impressive how everything has grown here over the past couple of years. That is great to see. And yeah, I'm gonna have a little walk around, see all the changes that they've made, see what everyone's up to. And we are going to be getting an exhaust on the 100 series this week, which I am thoroughly looking forward to, because I'm loving the car, I'm loving the engine, and I want to hear more of its characteristics. I want to just experience the vehicle a little bit more viscerally, and I think an exhaust upgrade is one of the perfect things you can do to have that experience. But there's a few other things that an exhaust upgrade also brings into the picture. It's really great to see local manufacturing companies really growing and thriving and getting to expand into bigger facilities, more machines, hiring more staff, and that is all because of people like you who go out there and support these companies. How fantastic, I love it. And especially when a company like Viper make a great product. One of the things that I'm looking forward to now with the exhausts, because I've had quite a bit of experience now with mine, with the Hilux, I know the impact that it makes on the vehicle, and you know, not just the sound, not just the feeling of the vehicle, but also the actual temperatures of the EGTs. We've tracked it on our EGT gauges and stuff like that. We know that it makes a real difference. We know that this is something that improves, you know, the longevity of a diesel engine, because it can breathe better, it can get rid of everything. And yeah, I think that is an important thing. It can get rid of heat, and it can get rid of all the gases, and at the end of the day, that's sort of what we want. On an engine like the 4.2, you know, you've got so much air moving through that thing. You put a pretty big pipe on there and you can have a pretty significant effect at the end of the day. And it's got two massive silencers. What I like with Viper is that the way they structure their exhausts, it's not too loud. I mean, you can go loud, they can do that for you, but the reality is, for me, I like it's a nice sporty note. You can hear it, and you can hear the sort of texture of the engine and you know, the character of the engine, but it's not over the top for when I'm birding or out in the bush with all the animals and stuff like that. So I must say, I like the balance. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'll drop the vehicle here. They don't currently have a bolt-on kit for the 100 series. They are working on one. So at the moment, it's more of a custom job. We'll come in, they'll weld it all together, and yeah, I'll come and fetch it end of day tomorrow or sometime later this week, and we can hear how it sounds. But let me go back to the car and we'll do a little bit of a before and after. Sounds nice and agricultural. Oh, that's got a nice little grumble. Oh,
This one went up a bit.
I like it. So what you can see here, this is the Lightforce light bulbs that I'm using at the moment. You can see they still keep that nice sort of warm color, but they're still really bright. This is a Philips bulb that I'm using, which is a bluer, whiter light. And what I've been looking for this whole time is to keep that classic warm white look on the Land Cruiser, because it's much better on your eyes. And it just looks right for the vehicle. These vehicles would look funny if they've got these super bright blue lights, which you get from most of the bulbs these days. That is not easy to find. So I'm really glad that that looks like that. Super stoked with that. You see how much better it blends with all three of the lights versus this. So that crisp white is nice, but I'm interested to see how bright these Lightforce bulbs actually are. This is the Lightforce bulb. You can see it's quite staunch. It's got its own little ballast. It's got heat sinks on the back. So you can see instead of using a fan, it uses these sort of metal mesh as a heat sink. And it's quite stout. If we compare that to the bulb that I took out, both LED, I mean, these were not the cheapest lights, but they weren't the most expensive lights either. I think the Lightforce come out a little bit more expensive, but it's a really nice, robust build. And I think with having the ballast, you're going to get the correct wattage for the light. And then actually having no fan, you're going to get silent operation. And it's quite a lot more stout and protected than the Philips one. So I'm going to go ahead, swap them both around. Very happy with the one there so far. Now time to swap that, put that in there, test these out. Here we are, stripping things again. I'm trying to find a place to mount the cup for the EGT gauge, so I'm going to remove this A-pillar and try put it there. There we go, run the cables through there. Install the little cup on here somewhere. Nice. Nice, got this all sorted. So that's bolted in there beautifully. There's a little hole there for all the cables. Now I can put on the gauge and reinstall the A-pillar. Okay, there we go. It sits at a bit of a funny angle, but I try to match this here. I can maybe at some point bend the bracket a little bit so that it faces down, but there we go. Neat. All the wiring runs through there and it runs down through there and it pops out here. So I've put that in a bit of sleeving to protect it on the way, and it just all open up, connects into this little unit down here, And this is the computer. What I have started in the meantime is, look at this, more cables. Lovely. Having a fun old time here with all the cables today. But these are for the new spotlights for the vehicle. Some Lightforce, I think they're called Venoms. And I must say, this Lightforce harness that we got is excellent. So I should just be able to piggyback, because these are negatively switched lights, piggyback them straight off the bulb. And then the relay and everything is there. I've got to run an ignition source, which I'll run nicely. And then there's switches, which come pre sort of wired, that I just need to run through the firewall. So I thought, while all of this chaos is happening over here, I figure I might as well run the other cables that also need to run through here at the same time. So this is turned from install the EGT gauge to strip the entire interior of the vehicle, and now also install spotlights. That's sort of how this stuff goes, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be nice. Alrighty, so let's finish up this spotlight install now. So these are our beauties that we're going to be using. I went for a size that was reasonable, you know, not too big, because I don't know, I feel like that's more than enough light. And I got my first hands on Lightforce. I used them on Darren from Bushtech's vehicle when I did a trip to Tankwa with his 79 series, and he's got the big daddy versions of these. I think they're called the Genesis or something. They're the 9-inch version of these, and they were incredible. And ever since, I've very secretly been wanting to get a set of these for my vehicle, and I just thought when this chance came around, then why not? Really nice. Still plenty of space for the car to breathe. Gonna tighten these up. That looks good. Nice. Welcome to the casualties of war. As you can see, the Redarc gauge is not working right now. So this is the park lights, the headlights, and this is the spotlights. So that's got a nice bit of punch, nice and bright. Serious amount of power for such small lights, very impressive. So that's great. I'm really excited about that. Tomorrow I'll have to sort this out. For some reason, when we hooked up the spotlights and the harness for that, it interfered with whatever was happening with the Redarc gauge, and we have been really struggling to try and figure out what's going on there. So tomorrow is another day. As you can see, it is way dark outside. It is almost 9 o'clock and we are absolutely exhausted after today. So Nikki has been showing me how to change the fan belts on this car. Getting me hands dirty. Guess got to sort of know a little bit of how to do it if some happens to break out in the field. And yeah, I've got most of the interior stuff sorted out now. Redarc gauge is working, lights are working, everything's hundreds. I just needed to basically just hit reset and rewire everything. But we're all good now. Now we can just put our fan belt kit on. So we get it as a kit like this from Terrain Tamer, all the belts and everything. So you can have these as like a spare kit in your vehicle that you can carry with you out on your overlanding trips. Even if you don't know how to change it, at least you have it. You might find somebody who does know how to change it, and you might be in the middle of nowhere. So that's a good thing to have as a just in case. You can also always do the preventative maintenance and do it ahead of time. So if we look at this, looks nice and healthy. Let me get my old one. That's my old one, starting to crack. Still some, you know, but not ideal. And I just figured I would rather start from scratch knowing what I've got. So that's why I thought, why not? It's time. We're going to start doing trips. We're going to start using this vehicle. It needs to be reliable and get me home.
I wouldn't put them tighter than that. I think they're a bit tight, but I'm just taking into consideration that they might stretch a bit because they're new.
Okay. Nice. Just the last one to do. I'm gonna try and not get the thing twisted around this time. I think it's twisted around already. I think I'm doing something wrong.
Sometimes in the future it will go over all of them.
Are you sure?
Yes, just carry on.
How many times? Oh, I think it's there.
Happy days.
Okay. Wait. It is upside down. Okay, but do we need to go underneath again to get it?
Yes, everything runs off the crank pulley.
Okay. I didn't get to check the writing.
Well, the writing's on the wall. Did that help in any way?
I think it needs a little bit more.
Is all on?
Wait. Oh.
Oh. Just leave it like that.
Okay.
Just leave it like that.
Lovely new belts. That was quite a job, but definitely learned some stuff. Really nice having the gauge. Actually, this vehicle runs really nice and cool. EGTs are well controlled. Obviously no remaps or any funny business on this car, but it's got plenty of power and it cruises like a dream on the open road. And yeah, it actually boosts very low. It's like not even a bar, basically peaks out at a bar. But EGTs stay relatively good. I can cruise at about 120, 130 at around 450 degrees. Climbs a hill pretty nicely. And yeah, it's really awesome actually. Driving like a treat. It sounds great with the exhaust. I can manage my temperatures. I can see everything that's going on. I've just got to install the temperature probe, but I'm waiting to get a new radiator for that. But otherwise, I'm so stoked with how everything's coming along. The snorkel's not too loud, but you can hear the turbo. It's nice to hear the turbo because you can hear what's going on. And that it's pulling great, really is, especially once it's up to temperature and it's nice and warm. It's a bit sluggish in the morning when it's cold, but it's okay. Just take it slow and steady. But once she's at temperature, it's doing good stuff. I just love the vehicle because it has feeling. You know what I mean? You feel like you can be in tune with it, which is really nice. Similar thing like with the Hilux, once you've got the exhaust pipe and you've got the snorkel and you've got a gauge or two extra, you can sort of understand what's happening in the vehicle a bit better, and you can translate those sounds into feelings, and you sort of start to be able to communicate a bit with your vehicle, which is really, really nice. Love it. Naughty little exhaust pipe. but it's not too loud, and that's the nice thing. The vehicle, I can hear everything that's going on. It can breathe nicely. All the benefits are there, but it's not too loud, which is great. So when it comes to game driving or being in the bush and doing birding and stuff, it's an old diesel engine. It has a bit of volume to it, but it's not excessive, and I think that's the thing that I quite like about the 100 series and the FTE is it's a little bit quieter than say a 1HZ or a TD42 or something like that. So yeah, so far really stoked, but we got a last little bit of packing to do, and we're getting ready to leave for our trip. I was busy packing, getting ready for the trip, thinking everything is all good, but here we sit. Bonnet open, toolbox out. What's happened? I think it's the alternator. I think it's packed up. I've spent the whole day sort of testing everything. Battery voltages are fine, everything is okay, but the alternator just doesn't want to generate power. We had done the fan belts. I went and checked that, made sure that there wasn't too much tension and that the belt wasn't slipping, and nope. It just seems to be coincidental though that we had just done fan belts and now the alternator's done in, but we've also added a lot of extra 12-volt accessories, and I don't know if that's maybe, just maybe on the edge, and it's just enough to put it, push it over the edge a bit. I've got no idea. Sometimes these things just happen, but I was driving today, all the lights just came on. When I got back, I checked the voltage. Voltage just doesn't pick up on the gauge when driving. Tested the voltage on the alternator in a few different places, and again, nothing. So I did, however, get myself a thicker mattress and a few of these little magnetic lights. How nice are those? Charging there. And I am actually ready to leave on my trip with Nikki, but looks like guinea fowls quietened down. Nikki's on his way with a new alternator. Looks like we might be installing an alternator tonight. Landcruiser living. Hey, one of our old trucks. Gotta deal with all the work. Look who's just arrived. Couldn't get enough of me this week. Nothing like a Sunday evening, 6 o'clock. Drive out to the other side of the Boerewors curtain to come and
I found this.
Help me. Oh, that's mine. We should just plug it in and see if it ever does anything. I'm usually excited for brand new boxes, but this one I'm not very excited about. Oh. Yeah.
Wow.
Just in case it's the... What size?
This is a 120 amp one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm happy now. You just have to say big numbers and then all of a sudden I get very excited.
First time I'm opening. No wonder it's so expensive.
150.
No, how much is this?
You don't want to know. Multi-painting and lots of fun.
Oh, okay, Nicholas, do we have to? Why can't we do this from underneath?
Because this is how I got in, this is how I got out, and this is how it's going to go.
Okay, Andrew, go receive it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, this is out.
Ja, dat met ons center.
Already using a hammer on the... What are you hitting?
There's a float through sleeve here. That is beautiful.
That is quite nice, hey?
A little bit of electric pull.
It is actually. Look at that copper. Looks like it's just come out of a mine. Beautiful. And I like the red. Isn't that cheeky, hey? God, I hate that I love this so much.
On a Sunday evening.
So I'd rather be doing this than watching TV. So.
Okay.
Nicholas, can we just discuss for 1 second? Okay, were we not under the engine bay the other day, and you were looking at the alternator, and you were saying, "Wow, it would be really cock to change the alternator on this car."
In the veld,
And
in the mud.
and then what happened? 2 days later.
I had to come and change it in the driveway.
All done, Nicholas. Everything working.
Yeah.
Just
Brand new alternator.
brand new alternator. Just working on your nerves now. Okay, careful. We don't have third-party insurance. Are you ready to go home to your wife now?
Yeah, let's just make sure the charge is nice and proper and up.
No, it's not even
Test drive. There we go.
it's not even 9 o'clock yet. So
What?
the night is still young.
Oh, you young people.